Good morning, everybody. We're gonna start. So if the last person could just sit. So first of all, in the name of all the people here at the Enjmin, we want to welcome you for this first oral presentation of our M2 students. We are really happy to welcome you again here. So first of all, I want to say many thanks to the jury who is here at the Enjmin, but also on remote. So we'll get in touch with us at the end of each presentation. As you can see, there's plenty of wonderful actors of the video game industry represented here. So thank you all. Thank you also because you represent the diversity of specialties in the gaming industry. So we do have representative of each specialty we have also among the students. So we all are eager to hear your feedbacks. In the role that you have as a jury is really to share all feedbacks, all comments, and ask questions to the students about their work. We will also ask you to complete the evaluation file either today during the presentation, or you can have also a few days to complete it if you want to rest and to look at what you wrote or the note you've done during the day. I will also ask you to raise hand if you want to ask question after the presentation. So I will follow what's happening online and also here in the room. I hope you don't have any trouble with connection with the Wi-Fi or with the evaluation file. Do not hesitate to say so if you have troubles, and we will try to find solutions right away. So thanks again. Maybe a few words to give you some insight of what are the M2 projects. So here you will see today 6 teams of 9 to 12 students that are organized as studios, and they are working on the conception and pre-production phase of a whole game. So they will present the project and where they are in this progress. Here you have a presentation of the 6 projects you're gonna see. 3 this morning and 3 this afternoon. You have the program, and so you can have the details there. So just to come back to where we are, so the students have 4 months to deliver a vertical slice. So the vertical slice is not ready today because we are just 2 months after the start. So they've been through the conception phase, and they're gonna show us their proposition where it is right now. So it's a work in progress, and so do not hesitate to exchange with them and ask questions and react to their proposition or their own questions. So this is the first oral presentation. That's going to be one in 1 month, and the final one where you can see and test the vertical slice itself in 2 months, so February 15th. Here is the P17 cohort on a sunny day. You will see them organized as teams, as I said. So the P17 cohort has also a godfather. So before we start, I would like to ask the godfather to say a few words to the students. So yes, he's a bit shy. So let's give him the word. Stéphane?
Thank you. So I have prepared a written talk because it's an important moment. I am particularly honored to be the sponsor of this 20th class of Enjmin. The first 2 presentations today and in January will allow the jury to give many advices that the student will follow or not. A satisfied godfather can, can lead you to swim into the Charente with around 20 kilos of concrete on your feet. A satisfied godfather can, in the contrary, lead you to a great career in the video game traffic. So now let's the show begin.
So thank you, Stéphane. As I said, 6 teams, 6 games. They will have between 15 to 20 minutes for presentation, and then we're going to have between 20 and 25 minutes of questions. So let's go.
Yes. So hello and welcome. This is the first official public presentation of the MO game project. We've been working on it for the past 2 months with the team that stands just before you right now. So we are 12 people. Before jumping into the content of the game, we'll take a brief moment to introduce you to our team's vision and what the game is about. So, what is MO? It's a first-person shooter. It's an old and standardized genre, still extremely popular today. I bet you know what it is. The latest Doom games are probably the closest to what we imagine, with fast and tense action, and just in case, first-person shooters put you in the view of your character, where you can see your hands and weapons and aim at your enemies directly with your camera. MO also is a roguelike, so it's also an old genre that revived interest in recent years. The Binding of Isaac played a huge role in the late repopularization of the genre, and Noita, which inspired us a lot, you'll see why, maybe. And more lately, I could name Hades, that gathered a cult following in no time. So what is a roguelike? It's mainly defined by the concept of permadeath. If you die in the game, there's no saving point, you have to start a new game. But to make it different each time, they usually heavily rely on procedural generation and randomized events. And they are typically divided in segments or zones, which in turn often take the form of a succession of rooms that each provide a unique challenge. MO is also meant as a solo experience, which in turn, the game could be best described as a solo roguelike FPS. So we aren't the first one who thought about combining these two genres. Funnily enough, it appears to be a very contemporary idea, with quite a lot of releases in 2020 and 2021. Here are examples. So what sets us apart? We were inspired by deck building and sandbox games, so we are focusing MO around one core concept, the player expression. So this concept emerges from players having enough valid options available to them so that no two players share a common playstyle. The main intention here is also to allow for as much freedom as possible while providing for a high replay value. So how do we do this? First, we're dropping this idea of having different weapons. Yeah, it sounds like restraining options, I know, but don't be fooled because our magic in the bullets. So the most unique mechanic of MO will be ammunition crafting. So yes, you'll be able to craft various bullets to deal damage with different behaviors, but it doesn't resume to that. We imagine you could shoot into a wall to make it transparent and look through it. You could shoot yourself in the arm with a powerful drug, or you could shoot a bomb at the ground to propel yourself into the air. So with that, we intend to let players define how it works so that we achieve this idea of limitless potential. Our goal is to make players create stuff that we developers even haven't thought of. So who's going to be interested in our game? I hope you are. First of all, FPS fans interested in a new take on their favorite genre, and players who enjoy theory crafting. So theory crafting could be described as the discipline of researching for optimized solutions. And we are a solo game, so you might think it would be hard to satisfy the socializer player type, which is a huge part of the population, but hard doesn't mean impossible, though, yeah, you're right, it's hard. But wait until the end, we have some surprises for that. So anyway, for the enjoyment of everyone, MO also features strong themes and characters that we hope will attract new players we haven't thought of and keep everyone hooked until they reach the end of the game. So how will you be able to buy and play MO? Yeah, FPS are naturally better built for PC, especially the fast-paced ones, so this is the first platform we're aiming for. Porting to consoles will remain a possibility, but probably later after full release because it demands extra work. And we are hoping on a digital release on the biggest online stores available, so namely Steam and the Epic Game Store. I bet you know them already. What price? The usual price for games our size and genre, which happens to be between 15 and 25 euros at this time. Maybe it will evolve. And we have a roguelike structure, so that makes us a perfect candidate for early access. The publishing of a game in an unfinished version. That would make us able to unveil each zone one after the other while gathering player feedback and income on the way. So how will MO fit in the current game ecosystem? We are most definitely a niche game, we know that, and we are in a thriving genre mix though, the roguelike FPS. But this genre also have a few entry barriers. So we're confident in the originality of our take on this genre, and we think we can achieve making MO the favorite game of a small population of dedicated players. So I hope you got the broader picture, so now it's time to dive straight into the content of MO. So as the game launches, for the first time, you'll discover the world and setting. Our story takes place in a world where magic and technology coexist. Generations ago, instructed by religious orders, ungifted humans turned the technology developed by mages against them, causing their downfall. So now they all serve life sentences in the government's factories, forced to assemble and fuel war machines with their now restrained magic. Oh, sorry. I'll try. So you are one of them, a mage, a deprived and fallen mage, with a fiery soul and a growing appetite for freedom. So you are enslaved in a weapon factory in the lower levels, and your job is bullet conjuring. So it's the only magical ability that wasn't stolen from you. But while you would theoretically never run out of ammo, your jailers made sure no firearm ever goes through your dedicated area. But somehow, there's a gun in your hand just right now. It feels almost alive in your palm, and even though you don't remember how you got this weapon in the first place, you already know it's your only key to freedom, and you're not afraid of using it. So as you force the door of the factory jail you've spent your life in and trigger the security system, you encounter your very first combat room. So it's time for you to learn how to move and use your weapon.
Thanks. So, how does the combat work in ammo? How do the gears of combat turn exactly? So, first of all, as we mentioned before, one of our game pillars is freedom. So, when it comes to freedom, we want to give the players the freedom of movement and as well as gameplay. So, the controls will be very snappy. For fast speed, we are giving a lot of scope for verticality in terms of level design, as well as the controls and the other gameplay mechanics. And yes, of course, the movement will be influenced by the ammunition itself, the type of ammunition and the bullets you use. So when it comes to inspiration and references, one of the major references which we have are Boomerang X, Satisfactory, and Quake, and some other arena-based shooters. These were our primary inspirations. When it comes to controls, we did not reinvent the wheel. We are going with simple, straightforward controls established in the market already, so the players can focus more on the other mechanics of the game. When it comes to the combat, we are planning to have different types of enemies playing different roles in the game, and the theme of the enemies will be they are mechatronic, they are cybernetic organisms fueled by magic. And this here, which you see, is a flying enemy concept made by one of our artists. So each enemy will have different hurt boxes. So each enemy will have a weak point and strong points defined on them, so the players can strategically damage them. And when it comes to the feeling of shooting itself, we are providing scope for very strategic, high-accuracy shooters, as well as players who like to go full run and gun Terminator style. For combat itself, as you are in the first room and you start to kill all the enemies, your gun will slowly absorb the magic and it will awaken. It will unleash the demon inside. So the gun inside your hand is absolutely not normal. It is possessed by a demon. It is possessed by a power of supernatural origins. And the demon has its own dimension. Welcome to the haze. So the haze is a mysterious place meant as a safe room where you can experiment your different ammunition, you can upgrade yourself, you can take a rest, you can train yourself. It acts as a breather in the roguelike progression. Now, one of our most unique selling points of the game, which is bullet crafting. So in the game, we have bullets or ammunition of different fundamentals, like a grapple hook, which you can use for mobility, bullets which shoot straight, bullets which are curved, a health boost, a cover wall, or intelligent bullets which can find their own targets. So currently we have implemented a straight bullet which is simple and straightforward, a bullet which is curved, affected by gravity. And we also have a cover wall behind which you can take cover from the enemy fire. So as the game starts, the players are first given the straightforward hit scan bullet, which shoots straight. It's simple to understand, but now this is where it gets interesting. So the players can modify the current bullet with something special. So currently we have modified the straight bullet with a shotgun buckshot, so the players can shoot multiple projectiles at the same time. Or instead of the shotgun buckshot, we have put a bounce modifier so that the bullet bounces on impact. And it will bounce off multiple surfaces. So instead of bouncing, now we have put an explosion modifier where the bullet will explode on impact on a surface. Now last but not the least, the player can make a behemoth of a bullet by combining all the modifiers. So you have a straight bullet which shoots a shotgun projectile, and all the projectiles bounce on impact, and they make an explosion on impact. So as you can see, we have made a systemic mechanic where you can combine different modifiers, which gives birth to endless possibilities. However, let's keep in mind that the modifiers you can put are not infinite. Each bullet has limited slots for modifiers. And now you have to do some slot management to choose which modifiers you want to work with. So the possibilities are infinite, and the imagination is your limit. If you can imagine, you can achieve it with the bullets. In the gameplay, you will take with yourself 3 of such bullets, which are made by your own imagination, and you will have infinite ammo. Yes, you are allowed to go crazy. Thank you. And you have to reload, but you can do multiple things with 3 such interesting bullets. Progression.
Thank you. After you're done customizing your ammunition in the haze, you will enter the next combat room. So our game is made of succession of combat rooms, and when you defeat a combat room, you can go to the haze again. This repeating pattern of combat room, then visiting back the haze will repeat all the time. What happens when you defeat a combat room? You will earn rewards. Rewards will be new crafting components for you to integrate in your loadout of crafted ammunitions. So you enter the haze, you can try them, you can equip them, and when going back to the next combat room in the haze, maybe the demon inside the gun will challenge you with a deal. So the deal with the demons will be game-changing buffs that will last until the run ends. They will be game-changing and will change everything when you approach the next combat room. These trade-offs, for instance, can be, I can throw through walls, but my enemies can as well. So now the whole combat is affected by this new information strategy. As long as the run goes forward, you will accept more and more trade-offs with the demon inside the gun, and you will become more and more corrupted. These cumulating interactions will lead you to different storylines or different endings within the narration. So as I said, we have succession of rooms, and they are organized in groups of 4, namely 3 normal combat rooms, then a tiny boss room. A succession of 4 rooms like this is what we call a zone. And in the structure of run, we plan to have 3 zones. The first zone is the jail factory, where you escape in the back of the city during the night. The second zone is in the upper city, where you will be facing the government's trained forces. And the third zone will be in the sky, in temples surrounded by clouds, where you will face the elite religious forces. We plan this run to be between 30 and 40 minutes long. But this is if you reach the end, and as it is a roguelike, most of the time you will die before. Now, what happens when you die? The demon inside the gun needs you to achieve its own secret goals. So it will resurrect you back in time to the beginning of the run to start again and again until you reach the end. For the experience-wise, what you will do is try again with no remaining equipment. However, you will have gained knowledge from the game, from how to craft ammunition, from what is possible to do with ammunition. And you will run after run master the art of crafting bullets. So from run to run, there will be a player progression. And so some of long-term goals will emerge from this player progression. First one is, of course, knowledge, as I said. The constant knowledge acquired by doing run after run will be a first motivation. Then there is a story. It will unveil differently at each run, depending on the ammunition crafted you have, depending on the gun trade-offs from the demon of if you reach the end or not, and there will be different endings. And you will also learn about what is the god, who is him, what is the magic in this world, and why are mage enslaved, etc. in the world. And last but not least, given this whole emergent gameplay, a big motivation for players will be experimentation. So crafting components can lead to very, very different behaviors that players can try with. So the curiosity will be a big motivation, and the replay value is very different events. So from run to run, you will gain knowledge, and this will be displayed through achievement, collectibles, and whether you win or lose the current run, it won't matter that much because you will still be acquiring knowledge.
Now let's step back from the game itself and present how we plan to integration in video game ecosystem and how we will support it in the long run. As soon as the early access release, we plan on having a ton of little community features to help the players share their game experience with their friends. When in the haze, player will have access to a screen GIF export feature. Player will be able to show their friend the crazy behavior they achieve to create with their bullets. So this will help them bring new players inside the game. Player will also be able to exchange their crafted ammunition with a simple text string to copy and paste. This will help the player base share knowledge of the game on dedicated platforms. Speaking of dedicated platform, we will be present on all major social platforms, Discord, Reddit, and Twitter. Last but not least, here's how we plan on reaching our target audience. As it's mainly niche, and with dedicated mid-hardcore player, fan of FPS and theory crafting. This engaged audience is very present on a social platform as Twitch. For this reason, we plan on partnering with Twitch streamers as our main media coverage for the game early access release, and we have something in mind for them. Twitch integration. The Twitch integration will serve two major purposes. First, ease viewer understanding with a unique stream overlay. Viewers will be able to see current equipped ammunition and display current progression in the run. Second feature, we will implement a streamer versus the chat mode. The core idea for the chat to vote for the ammunition of the streamer will have to play with, which is mostly make interesting situations happen.
Whole updates won't come from the studio. Some of them will come from the community. Our game has a lot of modding potential, and being an emergent and roguelike are two key points helping to build a successful modding community. First of all, we will need a powerful modding API, of course, and then an in-game mod portal. Easy to browse, it will also put the spotlight on community members' works by displaying trending mods, dev mod selection, latest update modes, etc. This feature is only planned after we've reached the full version of the game, of course. After the full release of the game, we will still be able to bring updates to AMO. This update will follow the DLC model, the most recurrent models for roguelike, and given the nature of our proposition, we think it suits our project very well. We plan on regular release of DLC with a DLC each 6 months. It also seems the best suited to our game due to its very split system content nature. DLC with either add content or new system plus embed content. At the moment, we are focusing on the creation of the vertical slide for the game. This is the duration of the world run. It contains a lot of different rooms and enemies, and this is the scope of the full game. The early access will almost probably focus on the first zone. As the vertical slice, we will only focus on the end of the said zone, which is the boss fight. We decided to reduce the scope in level design to focus on the ammunition crafting system and display the possibility of it. The ammunition crafting system will be the main focus, as I said, of the vertical slice. We have defined 5 families of crafting components, and we plan to implement 3 to 5 of each family. We hope everything was clear and that we got you interested in our game. Thank you all for listening, and we'll be present to the workspace this afternoon and can't wait to interact with you face to face. Thank you.
But now it's time for questions. So who wants to start? Questions or comments? If you don't have here. Alizé, would you like to ask the question you have?
Yeah, do I wrote it or do I need to tell it out loud?
I don't know if Javier, you can hear me. Can you put the sound a bit louder in the room? Could you repeat, Alizé, your question, please?
Yeah, I was wondering regarding how do you project to build your level design? Because when we talk about roguelike, there is a lot of accent or strong idea regarding level design. I think about Dead Cells or Hades and such. I think you talked about procedural, but do you have more information on it?
Hello. Thank you for your question. Yes, we plan on procedurally generated levels. For the vertical slice, we're handcrafting everything. So yeah, that's how we went for now.
Thank you. Stéphane, you want to ask a question? No, it's okay. I'm bringing the mic.
It's just a complementary to the last question. If you are thinking that in your game you will have a procedural generation of level, then even the style of graphics, the style of GD has to be at the beginning designed for a procedural generation. So I don't know if it was a question of Elise, but the question is, how do you think, you showed some graphics with big cities and a lot, do you think this kind of graphics can be procedurally generated? Have you start to think what are the things that you need to implement to have the ability to make a procedural game?
We will still need to figure out a system to put everything together, but right now we are going for a modular approach, and it's very grid-based for how to do the environment. So yeah, it's a system that lends itself to be generated procedurally.
When you, at the last session, you will have to present, of course, your vertical slice, but you will have to present the whole game principle and the design, and it's a great job for everybody to define how you will generate the next levels.
Thank you for your question. Yes, we will think about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Emmanuel, come.
Hello, I'm just wondering, you have 3 zones, so I mean you have different type of enemy for each zone, so tiny boss, final boss, and also medium enemies. So I was wondering, did you already list all the enemies you want to do? Because if I'm not wrong, you want to maybe do everything?
Yeah, the short answer is no, we haven't thought of all the enemies, though we have defined world building wise what we want each zone to convey. So the ambience, the looks, of course, because it tells a story, right? Each enemy will have to incarnate something more than just something you shoot at. It has to be embodying something. So we thought about these themes, yes, though gameplay-wise we don't have much but the first enemy you've seen in the GIF, which is only for the first zone, because we're really focusing on this first zone, because even wider than the vertical slice, the first release of the game, we plan it for as a kind of early access, so only the first zone is our main focus right now.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Hello, sorry if I have missed the information, but I just wanted to know if you have already a scope for the vertical slice, if you are maybe targeting the first zone, the whole first zone, or only part of it, or just to have, if it's already defined, a better grasp on this.
Yeah, it wasn't my part, but yes, on this slide, it was Guillaume's. He told that, yeah, we're focusing on the end of the first zone. So we will give way more crafting components to players in the vertical slice so that they can really experiment with this system. And the idea is, yeah, we really want to include the boss because we think it's iconic and it's very a cool thing to have if it works. So yeah, right now we're thinking most definitely about this first boss.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Odile, I think you have a question.
Yes, thank you. Actually, it's coming with the last questions together. I miss a bit your production planning, a detailed one for the vertical slice, but also for the whole game. It's not really clear. You have a planning after release with the DLC, but before it's a little bit fuzzy for me. And maybe one general remark about the presentation. I think you really did a great effort to include everything, all elements, but it was more a list of all elements, and you didn't take me into a story of your game and make it very like interesting and compelling for me to follow. It was more a list of everything, so it's almost everything is there, but not really made as a very interesting story, I would say.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand the end of the question. Can you repeat it, please?
How is your production plan? And the rest was just a remark from me. You don't need to answer about the story, but the production plan, I think it's still very fuzzy, or I didn't really understand. You want to make a lot with modes and the community and tools and everything, and I didn't understand how would be your production plan for the game.
So you want the production plan for the whole game or just the vertical slice?
Both, actually.
The whole game. Both.
Well, the vertical slice will end on February, so we have to get a functional boss on February. And for the rest, considering the time we will take for the vertical slice, we will plan for the rest. But I guess that's we will probably develop zone by zone to see if progression works, and boss fight as well. We haven't planned everything yet, but we are planning it.
Just to add that if we have an early access, we can have in the plan of production later, we can actually get the community feedback to get more into like what the player wants, and so we can like modify and the game like throughout the production after the early access get out. That answers your question.
Yes, I know, but for today, yes, we'll see that in the next presentation. You probably will have more details.
Yeah.
Well, hi. First of all, congratulations for the idea of appealing for the modding community. That's always a good idea, and in your case, I think that can work pretty well. I think that one of the things that I think that lacked at this presentation was the more reference of the visual style. I think that we all would have loved to just see to see more reference, more ideas, more concepts of not just the enemies, but also for the environment, because that could be amazing. I think that could be a good idea. But my question was more focused on how does the health work, and how will you balance the amount of modifiers in the bullets? Because I think that this wasn't quite clear, these 2 points, and I think that that's a core mechanic of your game. Thanks.
Okay, just to understand your question more clearly and to repeat it, you would like to know how we are planning to balance the different modifiers.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so when it comes to the bullet crafting and modifiers itself, as you can see on the top, we have different modifiers. So basically, we are planning to balance it by introducing a slot and inventory system. So the player only has a limited amount of slots to modify their bullets. Now the players have to choose wisely which modifiers they want to apply and occupy those slots and which they don't want to use and waste the slot size. So the balancing comes by the amount of slots and the type of modifier you want to use.
But will they always have the same amount of spots and the same type of modifiers, or will it change between runs?
No, that is a twist. So the answer is no. All the bullets will not have the same amount of slots available. So some bullets which we think are overpowered will have less amount of slots, and some modifiers which we think are more powerful will occupy more slots. So the weak modifiers will occupy only one slot, while the stronger ones will occupy 2 or 3.
Thank you. I think Yanshu, you have a question.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah. Very nice presentation. FPS is one of my favorite genres. Very ambitious project. A bit curious about the team members. So how many members, like designer and graphist, are working on the levels? According to my experience, that requires a lot of works. Yeah, that's my question.
To answer your question, when it comes to the game designers, we are a total of 3, and we can raise our hands. We are the game designers, and there are 3 artists as well, and they can raise their hands. Yeah.
Gotcha. So they all working on levels, or they have different tasks?
Well, when it comes to the designers, we have divided the task between us. One of the designers is spearheading the combat design and the enemy design. One of the second designers is responsible for the 3C, and I myself am responsible for the bullet crafting and the systems design for this, and the graphist.
So for the graphist, we are 3. One of us is working on the enemies and the design of the gun. One of us is a rigger and an animator, and he works on also the modules of the environments. And I work on mainly on the VFX with one of the whole programmers, and on the level dressing and the level art, and also all things like level design and materials.
Gotcha. So it's basically graphics will create the assets, then the programmer will arrange them procedurally, if I understand correctly.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that's a very nice idea. Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's my question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think, Alize, you had another question.
More like recommendations. I think it's great to think about players' experience as they can do whatever they want with the tool that they are given. But I think it's kind of ambitious in this one, most regarding the I recommend that you have at least 3 or 5 type of play styles that you are wanting to cover, just to be sure to have a base or something to build on, because it's great to want to offer a very free experiences, but in this case, I'm not sure we'll have the means to do, and being sure that you cover at least 3 or 4 play styles and build around them will be easier for you.
Yes, for sure. This is something we want to support. We have a list of playstyle on what we need to do to allow them to emerge. And yeah, we are planning to focus on a few at first. And yeah, this is exactly our plan. Thank you for the feedback.
No problem. Can't wait to see it next Soutenance.
Hello, it's me. I do have a question about the story and narration, because if you look at the last roguelike like Returnal or Hades, they actually use the fact that the game is a roguelike in the story and narration. Do you plan to do this as well, or?
Yeah, we we use the daemon in the gun to explain why the time rewinds to the very beginning and why you lose all acquired powers on the way. And this is also like the main plot is about these two characters. First, the mage, and second, the demon god, which is trapped inside the gun. So yeah, we have an explanation, though we might argue that it's a bit weak, maybe. But we also have this idea that each time you reach the end, just like in Hades, it doesn't mean the end for all the content. You'll have to successfully reach the end several times to reach the true end of the game, and you'll have to play also differently. We are thinking kind of an achievement system where you have to play in some set ways to unlock a different end. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hello. I think in your presentation I missed a little bit of artistic direction. I mean, I would have loved to see a little bit more of it, but maybe I will see later. From what I saw, I think first of all the desaturated colorimetry is pretty cool for your game, because it means that all the player action and enemies will pop out a lot, so that's pretty cool. But the question I had is, all of your references, concepts show vast exteriors, like buildings, cities, streets and stuff like that. But is your game going to be set in an interior or in exterior? And yeah, what plans do you have? Really?
Yeah, there is no interior design because it's also a lot of work to do, and all the game will take place in the exterior. So we will design the exterior of the battlements, and yeah.
Okay, so how long will be like a room or something like a fight room? How long do you plan to spend in it, and how big do you want them?
First of all, we want the whole run to be approximately 20 minutes. So, and as we are, yeah, yeah, we want the whole run to be of 40 minutes, and in each run, there will be 2 to 3 combat rooms. So the current approximate plan is that each combat room will be of 7 to 10 minutes each, or maybe more. So like each room, the player will spend approximately 10 minutes. That is the plan.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
Cécile, I think you have a question.
Yes, I do. It's about the bullet management, because you mentioned we had infinite ammo. And so if I understood correctly, so when I'm in the break room, I can craft my bullets like I want. And my question is, do I get to enter a combat room with maybe 3 or 4 different types of bullets that I have created myself? And do I have to plan the order in which they are in my, I don't know how it's called, where you put the bullets in. Or can I just change on the go during the battle? It's, yeah, that kind of.
Yes, first of all, to recap, in the combat phase, you will take along with you. You can take along with you 3 different types of bullets, and all of these 3 bullets you will craft yourself. So you are given the freedom and the scope of crafting these 3 bullets strategically the way you want. They can be same, they can be different according to the plan or the strategy which you make. And the intention here is that the players will have these 3 bullets crafted in a way that they complement each other when it comes to gameplay. Indirectly. For example, one of the bullets is a grapple hook, and the second one is a shotgun. So so by using the first bullet, the players can grab the enemy close to themselves, and then with the second bullet, they can use the shotgun to obliterate them. So you have the freedom of crafting each bullet individually the way you want. You have the freedom.
And I can use in any order.
Pardon, can you please repeat?
I mean, it's just because of the physical representation you made of the, how it's called, the thing where you put the bullet in it. So I at some point I imagined I had to plan putting for the assault bullet and then the health bullet, but no, I can just change whenever I want. Thank you.
Okay, I'm so sorry, but you were not 100% audible. I will have to consult my teammates for what the question was. Did you understand? So the feeling is mutual.
It's okay. I think I gotcha. Thank you.
Oh yes, absolutely. Sorry. Well, yes, you are also given the freedom and the option to choose the order of the bullets where they will be. So to elaborate one depth lower, which means that when it comes to the 3 bullets, they can be fired on different buttons. And you can choose which bullet you want to fire on which button and when. So it is completely modular, and you are given the chance to change it the way you want. When to fire them, what to fire, and how to fire. I hope that answers your question, Cecile.
Yes, you did. Thank you.
Hello. I have 2 questions. The first one is, what's the engine you're using? Because I don't think you mentioned it. You did?
No, we did not. It is Unreal Engine 5.
Yes, we take the decision to go to Unreal 5. It's in a beta, like you know, and early access. So, what is your second question?
Just for the modding side of things, you actually you chose the engine because you want to do modding stuff. Because Unreal Engine, I don't know if you can do easily modding things.
We take Unreal Engine for testing it. Because they are good for us to try another Unreal Engine, and the 5 is already available. So we want to test this engine.
All right, fair enough. Second question is...
We did not explore much about the modding thing. It's more on the idea, part of the project now. So yeah.
Okay. Second question is, you say you want to do the vertical slice as an handcrafted experience. I'm curious to know why, because you're saying the game is procedurally generated. Is something that's very difficult to do. So I'd be interested to see it in the vertical slice instead of a handcrafted experience. But I'm curious to know why you chose that.
Yeah, you are basically right. It's hard to do, and it's too hard for us to do in 2 months. So we just chose to go the easiest way for us to make an experience that just works as is.
All right.
If we had more time and more power, maybe we would have done it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. And good presentation, by the way.
Hello. Yes, good presentations. Thanks for this. We understand quickly where you want to go, and that's cool. Plus, at some moment, we had some music, so continue like this. I have a question regarding your vertical slice, because you said that you will focus on the boss fight, but also for me there is an interesting potential on the modding part. For me, it's a really interesting feature. and it could be a big part of your game, but do you plan to go deeper into this topic for your vertical slice?
I guess the answer is the same as before. It seems really hard for us to do right now. It's not our main focus. We want to have a working game first, and so we're really afraid we can't really dive into it in the 2 months we have left.
Okay. But I think it could be interesting, take some time to think about this modding part. Even, I don't know if you kind of fake it for the presentation, but just imagine a simple example of, okay, I'm a player of the game and I want to mod something. What can I do from A to C? Just, it's an idea for your next presentation, but okay.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a really good idea.
Thanks. I see there's a lot of people who wants to ask questions, but I will only take 2. There's one from far and one here. So, Baptiste, I think you had a question.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
So thank you for the presentation first. And I'm not sure if it's a remark or a question, but I'm not sure to see right now how you will manage to combine 2 opposite aspects of your game. It's the fast FPS pacing, requiring fast reaction and gameplay, and the crafting part, which require more intention and time to make the great combination you need. So you will have a big challenge to have a control which allow you to make everything fast and clear, I think.
Thank you for a question. This is something we know, and for this, in our references for fast FPS, in the slide I put only very fast FPS actually, like Boomerang X and Quake Champions, but it's upper in the slide. In fact, we maybe won't go that fast in order to give the players the time to learn what they crafted and do what they need to do with it.
Yeah. Also, we approach the fast FPS aspect from a play style point of view, so it should be a choice for our players to go fast, as in any fast FPS, but also to go slow if they prefer to.
And also, if I can add that good game feel around this and around the pace of the game comes like from little tweaks of the camera and stuff like that. And we plan on do like user test like every 2 weeks or so. So we'll have like tons of feedback to work on.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Well, nice work. You said previously that corruption affects the player. Which way? I mean, there is a penalty, there is something about in relation with the ammunition, there is a cooldown in the ammunition available, or because?
Okay, so first of all, just to re-explain and clarify things, we have a crafting room which is away from combat, or we call it the safe room, where you can craft your bullet, test it out. So this is where the crafting balancing works. So when it comes to the crafting the bullet, you have different bullet behaviors, as we showed, which is a straight hit scan bullet or a curve bullet, etc. And then you can apply modifiers to it. So the first form of balancing comes from the amount of modifiers or the crafting. As I explained before, there will be a slot and inventory system. And next balancing, which affects the gameplay, comes from the modifiers themselves. So for example, by applying some modifiers, you will decrease the damage of your weapon, or you will also increase your reload time. So if you are using a really overpowered modifier, it will decrease your reload time as well as ammunition size. So you can't fire that often and that recklessly. You have to be very strategic and thoughtful about what you do.
Thanks. You say DLC, it's 6 months?
Yes, the plan is 6 months. Every 6 months we will release the DLC, but we can assure you that the wait of 6 months will be worth it.
Yeah, no, because as long as you are betting on modding,
yes,
I guess it's based on players' production of that DLC. But if players is playing solo because they cannot only share ammunition, I understood. In the modding side, you can change ammunition with your friends or something similar, I understood.
Yes.
But they cannot craft or create anything else, or they can do also art and became part of that DLC.
Okay, so when it comes to the modding, there will be 2 parts of modding. One which affects the gameplay, which includes the bullet crafting and types of bullets, how they work. And the other type is aesthetic or art style of modding. I mean, they can put Arnold Schwarzenegger as the main character. That works, which does not affect the gameplay. So the gameplay affecting modding is a bit hard and tricky to do, and it will definitely take more time.
Thank you.
Thank you all for all these questions. There's questions remaining, but you will have time at lunchtime and later on, and for the people from that are on remote, then through the evaluation or directly with the team. Thank you once again. Please let's applaud them once again. And let's welcome the next team, so Project Ecosystem, if you want to join. Thank you. T'as peut-être raccroché. Ouais. Florian, if you're here, I think we may have closed the Zoom. I think you just closed it. Ouais. Fallait pas fermer. Yeah. So give us 2 minutes, we stopped. From the people from that are on remote, we're just fixing a thing, and it's gonna start again in a few minutes.
So hello everyone and welcome to our game presentation. At the moment our M2 project is called Project Ecosystem, as the definitive name is still in discussion. So I have by my side the game artists, Santiago and Noemi, Yann, the sound and music designer, the programmers Mathieu and Pamphile, Benoît and Clara, the UX, UR and UI, Laurent, our project manager, and Leo and I as the game designers. So now let's begin. You just crashed on an unknown and hostile planet. Figure a way to get back home or face the consequences. This is our pitch. So Project Ecosystem is a side-scrolling cinematic platformer game, like the game Brice and Inside. If you haven't played it, in both games, the player embodies a character seen from the side that moves from left to right. The main aspects of cinematic platformers are, first of all, a good game feel combined with the light gameplay. And a particular attention is also given to staging, the global mise-en-scène, and the story told through the environment. Our work hypothesis for this project is about having a partnership with Sony Interactive Entertainment. Indeed, our main decision is to fully exploit the PS5 controller technology, but we will develop this point later. So to share the same idea and to work towards the same direction, we have written a one-liner, which is, the waste created by consumption has an impact on life. In other words, we would like to convey the idea that we cannot escape the consequences of our actions. A message which is directly linked to our game genre, a side-scrolling game. Indeed, the particularities of most side-scrolling games are they only encourage forward movement and have points of no return, places where it is impossible to go back. In Project Ecosystem, the character we play and the environments are mutating. And to fill this mutation, which is our key selling point, every aspect of our game, every design decisions were made regarding this keyword. So how much is game design in user interface and user experience, the art and audio directions, are designed to put the emphasis on the mutation.
What is Project Ecosystem Universe? What is the difference between our world and our game world? So the game takes place around year 3000 in a period when humanity is gradually expanding systems. This colonization is made possible thanks to giant robots sent in advance on the planet to prepare the arrival of the settlers. They are called Titans. Once the life cycle is over, these Titans are extinguished and sent to uninhabited garbage planets. Their body decay over time, their superfuel runs out and eventually affects the environment around them, creating particular biomes. But what is the plot of our Project Ecosystem? It goes as follows. Your ship suffers from a malfunction and your escape pod is ejected. You land on an unknown and hostile garbage planet with ancient traces of life. And you will have to find a radio tower in order to call for help and maybe escape this dangerous environment. As you slowly get infected and mutate due to the superfuel. Now let's talk about the character who will live this adventure and try to survive. Christine is an agronomist. Without going into detail, her job is to inspect the crops on the colonized planets, to evaluate their quality, their yield, the respect of the rules, and the pollution. She wishes to make herself useful to the life of human outside the Earth. During the whole game, she will be motivated to stay alive in order to one day see a loved one again. Here is the final model of the game. Christine wears a spacesuit with a portable emergency helmet. This one allows her to have oxygen and to make light. But even if she seems protected at first, the superfuel finds a way to reach her and transform her little by literal. Also, you can notice that the colors are really important in our game. The blue is related to the superfull and orange to living beings and humanity. You must keep in mind that you are alone on this planet. One of our tools to underline this feeling of loneliness during the whole game is the voice. Christine delivers various monologues throughout the game. We want to create a character-player proximity by doing so. We will now go deeper in this mysterious story. The duration of our game is approximately 3 hours long. Here are the different key moments of the game. First, Christine crashes. Second, Christine is exposed to the superfull. Third, Christine mutates. Fourth, Christine becomes familiar with the Titans. And at the end of the game, Christine merges with a Titan. So here is a part of the game that we will present through the vertical slice. It's the beginning when Christine crashes on an unknown garbage planet. To find help, she needs to go to the spaceport. Then she crosses rivers of superfull. Her mutation starts with her coat.
To convey our narration and have an according gameplay, we will now talk in details about our intentions. Our 3 main intentions goes as follows. We want the player to feel the character's mutation through her progression. We want to create a headlong rush felt through immense environments. And we want to convey an important message. The waste we produce have an impact on life, and our actions have consequences on our environment. To achieve our intention, our ingredients are a character-driven story through the evolution of Christine's condition, a dramatic staging and composition of the environment's decline, ancient traces of life giving an environmental storytelling, light platforming gameplay and puzzles such as pushing crates, climbing and jumping over obstacles, and a detailed game feel evolving at the same time as Christine's mutation.
So the game feel is indeed at the core of our project. So let's dive in that subject. For the player to feel the mutation, we are adjusting the global game feel according to the mutation, to the narration. The experience is split into 3 main parts, which will be playable in our vertical slice. First of all, when the character lands on a planet, she is healthy. We feel through her movements and the haptic feedbacks her humanity. Suddenly, at one point, she is exposed to the superfuel, which makes her sick and begins to mutate. At the end, when the mutation takes full possession of herself, her movements improve. She becomes faster and can now jump higher. The level design evolves as well, in accordance with the evolution of the game mechanics. As Project Ecosystem is PS5 exclusive, we use the new possibilities given by the PS5 controller by implementing adaptive triggers, as well as haptic feedbacks and controller speakers. Nevertheless, we will still make our game accessible to other game controllers, like the PS4 ones, as they are compatible with the PlayStation 5. But they will not benefit from the advantages offered by the PS5 ones. And to ensure a good game feel of our character, we implemented inverse kinematic system to create better character animations. We are creating a side-scrolling cinematic platformer. The player embodies the 3 characters, seen from the side, that moves from left to right. This game usually implies multiple things, gameplay-wise. Player movement, push elements, climb on elements, and die and then respawn at checkpoints.
But how can we ensure a good staging and composition in order for our game to be impactful? With a powerful artistic direction. First, we will have a mixed art direction. In our game, 2D and 3D assets will live in harmony. Here is an example of what the sky and background might look like in the game and the style of painting we are aiming for. The same painting rules apply to our character. With the distance, the character's texture will have a more pronounced and rougher paint effect. This will give them much more impact and readability even if the character is small. Like we said before, Project Ecosystem is about having different biomes, each of them having their own features, which includes colors, elements, and ambiences. But images are better than words, so I let you appreciate this video. As you would hear, each sound should have a clear function. Give vital information or clues about what is happening in a scene. Our character is the center of attention. The sound should give us information about what Christine is feeling. The sound diegesis has a thin enough border to establish a particular atmosphere. We pay attention to the environmental effects, to detail what we do not see, but which nevertheless surround us. To be on cinematographic experiences, the music brings dynamic in the whole game, to mark the different states that our game goes through. This is done through evolving musical motifs that will be cut into stems by thematic music. The use of microtonality with slight fluctuations like a sound cloud blurs the multiple lines that constitute it to confuse the listener and bring him to put himself in the place of the character.
We will now talk about our marketing position and vision. After doing some research about our potential target audience, we estimated to be people around 15 to 35 years old, with a liking for artistic and/or narrative-driven games, and looking for special game experiences. About gameplay positioning, you can see here the placement of Project Ecosystem compared to our competitors. We have benchmarked several platformers as well as puzzle games. So our objective is to have as much platforming as Limbo and Little Nightmares, but little less puzzle than Funland Sales. With these elements, we were able to establish a conventional positioning like this. Our aim is to have an experience of about 3 hours, like Planet Alpha, with a release price of around €10, to stay on the diagonal while remaining competitive. Finally, let's take a global look to what we said. In conclusion, our game is centered on Christine's mutation. It affects her design, but also her gameplay. Her movement will be accelerated and amplified, and her sound and behavior will be affected by it too. That is all for Project Ecosystem's presentation. We hope you liked it, and thank you for your attention. We are now open for your questions.
So, the Godfathers first.
Godfather first. I have just a question. Maybe I did not understood well, but the position of your vertical slice is before the character has been has mutation, and the core of your gameplay is about mutation. So in the vertical slice, you will not show the core of your gameplay. I think, or maybe there's something I did not understood, but from your graphic, the mutation point is after the vertical slice.
So maybe our graphics were not so clear, but in fact, in our vertical slice, we want to show the three aspects of our mutation. So in the vertical slice, we are just kind of compress the mutation process to make it, to put it in the first biome. But in the full game, it will be a very long process through the whole game.
And the vertical slice is between 1 and 2. So yes. It's only a presentation problem.
Thank you.
Thanks. May I ask you to present yourself just before the question? Present yourself shortly, please.
Well, hi, my name is Jaime from Utah, Madrid. And well, first of all, thank you for your presentation. It was amazing and it made very clear what your intentions are. And concerning that, I just want to propose you for the next presentation to focus also in the level design, because I think that's a part that has been lacking in this presentation. And at the same time, I want to ask, well, this is something more personal for me as is part of my investigation in the accessibility point of view, because you have talked a lot about sensations, about feeling, about the sound design, also about the haptic design. So I think that this opens up a lot of possibilities to make this game almost fully accessible for people with visual impairment. So I don't know if you have considered that option, or to try to amplify the design of your controls and your experience and mechanics to be fully accessible for people with disabilities and, of course, people with visual impairment and disabilities. Thank you.
Okay, it works. How about accessibility? We are in the process of thinking about to who we are going to make the game accessible, because we had classes about that. And we started with doing a kind of list of possible accessibility features, but we are still in the process of thinking about it. So we didn't present it now because it's not defined yet.
Thank you. Baptiste, I don't know if it was the hand raised before, or if you have a question.
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
No question on my side.
Okay, so Odile, it's up to you.
Yes, thank you. Just one small remark, maybe I didn't understand well the whole story or game design, but you were, so you said very well your intention about also showing the issue with garbage and that garbage is bad, but then you said that she's okay, she's human, she's then weak, and then when she mutates, she gets faster and stronger. So I'm kind of like, is it really bad garbage or not? So I think you need to clarify on this. And on the other side, I would like to say also it was very clear your intention overall, very well described. And you already speak about emotions, about what you want to trigger. I think you could even speak more about this and really put like your brain pillars about what kind of emotion you want to trigger to the players. What should it make to us when we play this game? So I think you're on the right spot and you can even go further on this. And a small side note, I would have liked to have a bit of project management, planning, budget, timing. I don't know if it's required for this presentation, but for the next one, I guess it's going to be really something you need to tell us better, how you plan to make all this happen. Thank you.
Thank you for your precious feedback. Do you want me to answer your first question?
Yes, please.
So I get that the thing is, what we're planning to do for Christine is that she will lose her humanity, like she's trading humanity for a better adaptation to her environment. I know it can sound a bit confusing since she's basically adapting to trash and saying producing waste has consequences, but you're going to be okay. But we're working on this. please trust us. Best I can do.
Yeah. Yes, Aida. I'm director of Cnam-Enjmin. Aida del Solar, I'm sorry. Yes, I will write it down also, but I think it's very narrative, and you are doing well, even with the symbols of your presentation. You are putting us into the story. So it's very pertinent, as was what was said about the vertical slice is not showing the mutation of the woman. You can be very Hitchcockian, like Hitchcock, and find or work on 2 or 3 slides where we can see the worry face of this woman mutating. Don't show or don't tell, show it. You know, something is changing in her and she's noticing. It's a little detail. And that's enough, and it's a very good cell argument. We don't see it in the vertical slice, but we know that she's beginning to feel that she's mutating and she's worried about that. That puts some dramaturgy into the game and put us all very curious about that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Colette, I saw that you wanted to raise your hand, so if you want to present yourself and ask your question.
Yes, thanks. Hello, I'm Colette. I work at Ubisoft in level design. You heard me, right? Yeah. Well, I wanted to know, as it's a narrative platformer game, how you plan to expose the narrative part. Like, will it be only environmental narrative, or will there be some dialogues, or can we hear the thought of your character?
We're planning to use multiple means to achieve this narration. We'd like to convey some messages through environmental narration, but it's a pretty limited means. What I mean by that is it can only convey basic messages. So as we shown in the slide, where we want to use Christine's monologues to convey more complex informations to the player.
Okay.
And also we're going to use gameplay for this, of course. Sorry, I didn't mention it.
Okay. Well, thanks for the presentation and your answer.
Thank you.
Hello. Hello, I'm Alex. I'm a lead artist at Ubisoft Bordeaux. Shit, I lost my notes. Yes, so I think the purpose of your game is pretty interesting. I like the cinematic platformer genre a lot. What is really important in those games, as you said, is like the cinematic experience. So it means that it implies a lot of camera work. I don't know, have you thought of like special usage of camera movements, camera work, like wide angles to convey this or this idea, or short angles to create focus or stuff like that?
We are planning to use several features of cameras and settings. First of all, we are imagining traveling sessions as well as static like gameplay sequences where you are just focusing on the background, and some other where when you just play in a platformer, the camera follows you. And yes, and play with all the parameters.
But every time we will be in front of the scene, there won't be any movement on the side because we have this mixed medium. Yes. Yes, we have the scene with 2D and 3D assets. So the background is all in 2D. So for that, we can't move our camera on the diagonal. No, here's the side. So Yeah, so we will try to have a different mise en scène and composition, but stay in front. I hope it was clear. Thank you.
Hello, Pierre Alban, game designer from the Share Science 6 games. First of all, thank you for the presentation. You talked a lot about the game feel, and at some point there was a chart where we could see that the game feel would reach a point where it is painful, which is a bit scary to me. So how do you intend to work on your game feel so it feels painful, but like not too frustrating for the player as well? Like, I don't want to put my gamepad on the side and skip the game.
Indeed, we are planning to add painful gameplay sequences, but as you can see on the graphic, it will be very, very short, and we have in mind that it can be frustrating for the players and they can leave their controllers. So this will be a thing we'll try to tweak and see what is the limit on what we can do to be painful. So yes, we have that in mind, but we'll try to make it right.
Thank you. Adrien, I think you have a question.
Hi, yes, Adrien. I'm head of video games publishing at Arte. I had a bunch of questions, but you answered a bunch of them. But one of my points was that you chose for your main character to be an agronomy technician or something. But it feels like she's already aware of like an environmental issues or something like that by being yes, this agronomy technician. So maybe it's not that much of a conflict if you are willing to convey a message. But on this, I want to say maybe the same thing as Odile or Colette. The subject will require a lot of caution to tackle without being like in your face or greenwashing like kind of narration. So yeah, be cautious on that, and yeah, maybe you can explain why you chose to make your character like aware of environmental issues.
Well, yes, thank you for your feedback, and we'll try to come up next time with some solid, crystal clear explanations.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Pierre Jean, audio director from Ankama. Just one question about music. Where is the sound designer? Oh, okay. Hi. You talk about evolving music theme. Why do you want evolving music theme? Excuse me. Can you explain what do you have in mind and what the game mechanics with the music? What do you want to do with game mechanics and music?
So I'm gonna try to explain it. First, the aspect of music is with the sentimental and emotion about Christine, and the thing is to follow all the emotional aspect of Christine Traves, and
okay.
Sorry, I'm gonna say. Yeah, it's possible in French. Sorry.
No, okay.
Okay. Sorry for English people. Donc du coup, en fait, l'aspect musical suivra en fait l'émotion du personnage et sera du coup en accord avec tout l'arc scénaristique. Et je vais essayer aussi de faire sentir l'évolution de la mutation et le paradoxe un petit peu entre ce que ressent Christine et ce que ça engendre sur elle et sur son aspect psychologique un petit peu. Donc essayer de faire des stems avec différents patterns qui se lanceront un petit peu au fur et à mesure et qui essaieront de faire pressentir un peu ça.
Et pourquoi de la musique de synthèse?
Pour faire un petit peu dans le genre art sci-fi, et puis aussi utiliser l'orchestral pour rappeler un petit peu tout ce qui est organique, et faire un mix entre les deux et faire un peu musique mixte.
C'était cool d'entendre quelque chose au moins pour la présentation. L'ambiance était cool. Hein.
Merci. Merci beaucoup.
Hiya guys, great presentation first, and I want to say to you that it is an escape game, but we don't know what we're escaping from. Is it running away from the Titans? What we are coming to do there? Because we are agronomists, I agree with that, but there is only machine going there to terraform the planet, as I understand it. So what is she doing right here? Who is she running away? The enemies is a life form. We need to get more details on that. And as we were showing the reference, like Little Nightmares and all the things, it's like really running away with like a great type of monsters that you're crawling from the shadows and things like this as you're trying to stay alive. And you have also to find a good capacity to find a way with the evolution of the character and the rest of the environment as the enemies, and thinking that maybe she's trying to get away from this, but at the end, as she's finally involved, she's gonna look that she's gonna be trapped in the planet, or she's gonna be like, yeah, I might as well stay there and become part of it. I don't know if you see what I mean. Anyway, great presentation, great sound work.
Well, thank you very much. Yes, you're right. We're trying to escape from the planet to get back to Earth before we mutate too much. And yes, one of the end choice in the full game would be, will you go back? Will you stay there? You have mutated. What's going to happen? How will you position yourself? Oh, yeah, sorry. I guess the enemy is the planet itself. We have no actual enemies.
I have two comments. One came from the question about sound. It's just I was written it, so it's when you talk about sound like the slides. Here, put sounds to hear it. You cannot talk about sound without hearing sound, and you cannot talk about image without showing image. It's just a recommendation. And the other one is a question. Most of the people, in your first proposal, when you wrote the pitch, there was behind this pitch an idea of a political message. And from this presentation, if you have a political message, it's not really clear for me, at least.
Thank you for your feedback. So I think this is our one-liner, and to be honest, we have written it not to be that political. We are just wanted to ask questions to the players. In fact, that's it.
And talking about the questions, it was the last one for the group. You may still exchange with them during lunchtime and at the end of the day, at the end of the presentation. So let's thank them again for the presentation. And let's welcome the next team, the last of this morning, Tribe of Dawn. Please welcome them.
Yes. Ah, oui. Attends, tu peux me tenir ça? Alice.
Hello. As the dusk mold, poison of the night, emerges again, every tribe and every sacred creature will be contaminated, except one, the nomadic tribe of dawn. And let's discover what role it can play in this strange cycle. So in Tribe of Dawn, we are controlling a tribe living on a giant creature, and they are perpetually chased by the poisonous night. To escape, they will need resources. To progress, they will need buildings on the creature. To galvanize themselves, they will need prayers. And when infected pilgrims and creatures will come at them, they will need healing rituals. Our pillars are first the perpetual motion that we have to sustain at all costs. And in order to keep moving, this symbiosis between the tribe and the creature. And finally, the cyclic progression across the planet is a very important aspect. Loop after loop, we will learn to know our environment and prepare for what may come. The things we want our players to experience and feel is first an everyday pressure linked to this perpetual movement and imminent danger. Then in adversity, an emotional bond should form with both the tribe and the creature. And then this bond should expand gradually to every tribe, every creature, and the ecosystem as a whole, leading to a sense of mystical connection and wonder. What will happen during a game of Tribe of Dawn? The very first step will be understanding how to sustain the creature's movement. And for that, this vital task will be achieved through exploration and resource collection. To give a little more details, the controls will be classic RTS style. We send scouts to dissipate the fog of war, and like this we will be able to select a path for our creature. On our way we will find resources. The first one will be the coral that we need to feed the creature so that it can keep moving. And there will also be fruits that are useful for the tribe, and linen that will be useful to construct buildings later. So this is the second step. We will discover two advanced mechanics which will give us more freedom in the way we want to play, the prayers and the constructions. The prayers galvanize the tribe and focus its energy on specific tasks. So they are extremely powerful, but they also have downsides. Buildings, they only give bonuses, but they consume resources. They can make our actions easier, and we have to choose which buildings we want to build because there's very little space on the back of the creature to build. They can reward typical play styles. For example, they can give strong bonuses when we are really close to the dusk mold. So, every building has a different playstyle attached to it. Then, once we have learned how to survive, we will face more challenges. Pilgrims infected by the dusk mold will come at us. They are desperate and they are disoriented, and they will try to steal the resources that we need to move on. It is the coral. So, Their behavior is quite chaotic, but they are dangerous. If they take too much coral from us, we can't move anymore, and the knights can reach us. At the beginning, the only thing we can do is use a priest to scare them away, so that they don't steal from us. But ultimately, we will learn our final mechanic, the healing rituals, which will allow us to heal these infected pilgrims so that they can become independent. They can collect coral by themselves, and they are not dangerous anymore for us. Ultimately, we will be able to use these rituals on creatures also and heal these creatures, and this is how we will progress towards the end of the game. This is a mock-up of our UI. So the image in the background is unrelated to the game, but every UI element is important. On the top, you can see the resources that we can monitor. Minimap on the upper right corner. On the down right corner, we have the creature with the buildings that we can monitor. If we click this image of the creature, we enter the building interface. Then at the bottom, we have the verses of the prayers. If we click them, we have the prayer interface that opens up. And on the upper right, we have our creature and our different pilgrims that we can monitor their health bars, and we can click these icons to go to each creature or pilgrim on the map. So about the lore, the events of Tribe of Dawn are part of a wide ecological cycle that keeps the planet alive. The first event of this cycle is the dusk mold emerges and infects all sedentary creatures across the planet. This is when the game and the vertical slice will start. During the vertical slice, we will get to experience the start of the game, which is the tribe starts healing these creatures, and each time it heals one, it can learn a fragment of prayer from it. We will heal one creature during the slice, but during the whole game there will be a lot more. And once we have healed all creatures and learned all the fragments of prayer, we will be able to perform the full prayer cycle. And this will turn the dusk mold, the dangerous poison, into the fruit that we've been eating all along and that is necessary for all organic life forms on the planet. This is when the game will end. So these prayers that we learn from the creatures, they are not only useful at the end of the game, but also they are a central gameplay element. They are sung by the tribe and they have a strong influence on its actions for the time that they last. Each prayer is comprised of 3 parts called verses. And how can the player compose a prayer? Well, for each of these verses, they can select one of a series of variations that they have discovered. Each of these variations has different effects on the tribe and the creature, and they also have different lyrics. These lyrics bring us knowledge about the narrative aspect of the game. And finally, many variants are missing at the beginning of the game, so we will have to find them. And this brings a sense of progression as we gather the pieces of this oral culture and uncover the lore's puzzle. We have another original mechanic in Tribe of Dawn, and it is closely related to the prayers. When the player controls several priests, they can begin a ritual by dancing in circles, and they will have to follow an infected pilgrim and keep them inside the circle in order to heal them. The diameter of the circle and the movements of the infected pilgrims are tied to the prayer's rhythm.
So here are the inhabitants of the creature. So we have here the dwellers, the architect that take care of the building, and the choristers who sing the prayers. Both live in the village on the back of the creature. And they are the pilgrims, gatherers that can turn into priests to accomplish rituals. They live outside the village and explore the land. This is the creature. It's ancient and alien. We don't know if it's organic or mineral and looks like a divinity almost. Here is the village. So it's on the back of the creature, and you can construct special building to buff some of your action there. There are 3 biomes. The first one here is the Fluffy Hills. It's made of soft and sweet meadows. It's easy to move across, and it contains a big quantity of linen for the buildings and a lower quantity of coal used to feed the creature. Here we have the viscous mangrove. It's a lush and dense environment, slowing both the creature and the pilgrims as they walk around it. But you can find quantities of swamp fruits there, so it's used to feed the tribe, and a lower quantity of coal. Finally, the Red Salt Mountains is also a dense environment where the topography will limit your vision, but it's filled with coral.
Our vertical slice should cover 1 full loop across this planet, and then the beginning of a second one, so that the cycling mechanic can be experienced. So, at the beginning, we discover the movement and we start gathering resources. Then we should encounter a first creature. It is a dreadful sight because it is infected, it is in pain, but right now it should be very clear that we can't do anything to help it until we have prepared. So that's what the loop will be useful for. We will start learning the advanced mechanics, first the buildings, then the prayers, the rituals finally. And the second loop will begin. That's when we will encounter the creature a second time. And this time we will be able, hopefully, to help it. And successful or not, this encounter will end the vertical slice.
Okay, so for our project, we see the user research as mainly as a support, as a tool. So basically the objective for it are to enhance the pillars and tension that Antoine just showed you before. For that, we made a lot of data collect, like community synthesis, surveys, to give infos and feedbacks for the game designers. Another point is to make the game as accessible as possible. So basically we made research about accessibility, we made accessibility guidelines, and we try to take it in account as early as we can in the process. And finally, we want to create a smooth and efficient onboarding, as it can be quite complicated for a strategy-like game. It's important to take an emphasis on this. So a few explanations about accessibility. We have 2 main focus for it. It will be to make the certain multiplicity of visual and audio feedbacks. Basically, each feedback have its counterpart visually and audio. And we also want to make that all action can be performed only with the keyboard or only with the mouse.
RTS and city builders have a strong fan base, and which is seeking right now for more strategy games with new challenges. The game should also talk to a narrative lover because we have a strong story and an original universe. I hope you have seen that. For the platform, as city builder and RTS, our game is planned to be played on PC, and it will be available on Steam and Epic Game Store. We hope that everything was clear and that we got your attention, interested you in our game. Thank you for listening, and do not hesitate to come to our workspace to exchange with us this afternoon.
So who wants to start first with the question or remarks? Yes.
Sorry. Hello. So a few remarks. The tribal aesthetic looks very interesting. It's pretty promising. I think the symbiosis with the tribe and the creator is a very interesting subject to develop. What I miss a little bit in the architecture style you develop is it feels like it's not really integrated into the bones structure of the creator, and it feels like the biomimetism should be a cool way to explore a little bit. Did you think about this while trying to develop the creature and the tribe as well, or not at all?
Sorry about that. Yeah, we've been thinking about, I mean, there are three resources on the planet. So there's the coral that is used to feed the creature, and the fruits for the inhabitants, and the linen that is actually this shade of yellow you can see here. So the buildings are mostly designed to be very lightweight so that they don't weigh too much on the creator's walk. And yeah, they're mostly made of linen, so it's still in design, it's still in progress, but yeah, we are really planning to use also the different resources the buildings need to be constructed to make them coherent together.
Thank you. There's a question from Odile.
Yes, it's more a remark than a question.
We can't hear you correctly. Sorry,
Okay.
Odile.
Can you hear me now?
It seems you embodied the creature with your voice. Sorry for that. If we can do something
like that now, is it better?
Try again?
Yes.
Okay, we will see. Oh. Maybe I can ask somebody for the question and then come back to you. Sorry for that, Odile. I'm really sorry. Yeah, maybe you can write your question on the chat and I can say it, but I will give the mic to Mylène.
Hello, so my name is Mylène and I do marketing for indie games. Did you do any market study for the game and trying to find similar one or not?
Well, right now we haven't started yet. We plan to do so, but we were more focusing on the vertical slice and when we will put it on for now, and to construct good gameplay mechanics, etc. Make sure that our game is pretty clear for us, because we had lots of work to do with artists and city builders. So we mostly worked on that, but we will soon work on the planification.
Okay, so just I will save you sometimes. On the most wishlisted game on Steam, you have a game called The Wandering Village, where you play a tribe on giant creatures. You have to do some symbiosis with it, and you escaping from Toxispore, which look like really similar to your pitch. So I think you need to be careful because this game is not out yet. It's still planning to launch, I think, next year. So you really need to find something which looks really different from this one, because it's a famous one. So yeah.
Yeah, we knew about the Wandering Village. Sadly, I think the early access is closed right now. We haven't been able to test it, so we have few information about it. We tried to make something very different, notably through the look of the creature and the lack of space to construct on it, and mechanics like the prayers and rituals. But yeah, we didn't have enough information about this unreleased game to make something truly different.
Odile, I don't forget you. Maybe we can try again.
Yes, can you hear me now?
No, it's still not working. I'm sorry, it's from our side. We're trying to inquire where it comes from. Maybe we can try with Alizé.
Yes, yeah, I didn't
It's the
present
same.
myself. It's the
I'm
same.
so sorry,
All right.
Alize. It's the same. So we will come back to you later on. We try to fix it. So we will go on with the question here.
Hello, thanks for the presentation. I'm David, producer at La Poule Noire. I have two questions. The first one is I'm not sure about what is your long-term objective in the game. So I understand that you have an entire loop for the vertical slice, but I didn't understand that. And the second question is about team management. It's a personal question. Clara, that's the third time in a row you are on stage today. Can you handle all that project during the year? So yeah, that's my two questions.
So for the long-term goal, for the entire game, it will be helping all the creatures. And once we have learned their different prayers, we can perform a full prayer with all the fragments. And this will end the poisonous phase of the dusk mold. So creatures are free to settle again and they are not in danger. And a thing we thought about will be, at the end of the game, the nomadic role of the tribe is passed to another one, which becomes the tribe of Dawn, and we become sedentary like the others, and it's part of the cycle.
Yes, it's the third time, and I'm gonna be here 6th time actually. It's written on the paper if you haven't seen it, because this year we are 7 ergonom students, and because I am more specialized in UI, I'm taking care of the UI of all the projects, but I'm not alone because I have a lot of backup of the other UX designer as well as graphic designer, so I'm in charge of mostly the UI on the projects.
Well, Jaime here from Utah again. Again, thanks for your presentation. I think that you make clear a lot of key points. Also, I think that it's really important to use reference to write when you are trying to explain your game, because I also think that you use some similarities between Frostpunk and your game, as you try to take care of one part of your society. In that case, is coal. But right now, I have a question about the map. How does your map and level design work? Because I understand that, yes, you have the creature, then you have 3 different biomes, but as you go cycle through cycle, they are the same biomes? They change between cycles? They are created or they are procedural generated? That was my question. But again, thanks for your presentation.
Okay, so there is a first procedural map we are creating, and then we are building the level design to choose the precise pacing we want for the players. So we decide where the biome are going to be, how they interact each other, but the relief is always the same, and sometimes there are little area with a procedural design. With I don't know if you know what Game of Life is. It's just supposed to simulate life, to pretend that you have an environment impact on your world. And so there are resources, and if you grab too many resources, so you break the loop and we create with this design, and then you do a turn and all resources, they are not here anymore, and you are supposed to take another path, and maybe in one turn on another there are resources that grow again. This is how we create our map.
So you decide when you move the creature or not?
Comment?
When do you move the creature, or the creature moves itself because
you can control the creature and decide, okay, maybe I'm gonna go this path because I need these resources, or another, and because there is this interesting point of view. And
okay, well, Javier from Utah Technology School, and in relation with this about the pacing. and about the timing, because if you doesn't control the creature, when do you stop playing? When do you continue playing? Do you save the game? You can go back, and if you have a bad decision because you get everything about one of the materials and you saw it was bad decision, so you can get back or not, or any point, saving points. I mean, if you doesn't control the creature and you get into the game, how long takes the game, and when the player stops playing the game, and if he can save different games to get back to undo bad decisions.
Yes, we haven't thought a lot about saving games because we are only producing a vertical slice. But yeah, we expect that the player will be able to go back exactly to the position they were in if they exit the game. And for about how long it takes to complete the game, it varies. I think it can take like 5 loops or 10 or 15, depending on the play style. And it also ends when the night reaches us, it's a game over and we have to start again. A loop around the planet should last about 10 minutes. Sorry.
Thank you.
Thanks. We keep going with the room. I don't know if the problem is fixed yet. I will inquire.
So I'm César Descartes from Asobo. The question is again, what the engine? Just to know.
Unreal. 4.
Okay. And what about, you maybe said it, I don't know, but there is no plan to do PvP or just like multiplayer game on this kind of game? Like racing around the planet with someone else?
For now, no. In early pre-production, we talked about it, but ultimately we thought it clashed with most of our intentions.
Okay. And just tiny question. Could you just precise what's the prayer? Like just because I don't think we understood the prayer thing.
Yes, yes, this slide. I didn't understand this slide. So yeah, it could be cool if you can explain again for us. And maybe next time, maybe you can create some visuals or something nice to explain this mechanic, because it wasn't very clear for us.
So the prayers are like songs. They have a duration of approximately 30 seconds. And we can, the player can choose the 3 parts of the song. And each one of the 3 parts will have a different effect on the tribe and the gameplay. When the song the 30 seconds are over, the effects are still applying, but we don't have the characters singing anymore, and now we can choose another version of the prayer and we can start again. Well, it's like passive bonuses. It's like a kind of advanced buff, and it's controlled through UI, like an interface like this one. Like the drop-down menu opens and you select, for example, variant 2 for the first verse, and it has a specific effect that is different from variant 3, and you choose your play style with it.
Okay. Yeah.
For example, yeah, there will be one that makes your explorers faster, and one that makes the creature faster, but they are both for the first verse, so you have to choose one of the two. It can't be both. So it's a choice of what aspect of the tribe's activity will you prioritize.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, and a nice presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry from people on remote, online. I will tell the question. I see that Alizé wrote her questions. I will read it. It's difficult to see the challenge factors. You talked about the impact of the biomes on the creature's speed. But are there more variables that impact the game challenge? If yes, how?
That's a great question. About challenge in general, like the main core idea is that you get chased by a knight that is perpetually coming close to you. And the element how you move through the terrain and how you manipulate speeds, curves, how to get efficiently over it is already a main challenge constantly. If something is always following you, the decision-making process on what to build, buildings slow you down, where to move, this terrain might slow you down, etc., is the main challenge about it. And all the systems that are inside of the game pretty much revolve around movement speed, pretty much how efficient you can traverse the terrain, while all the other elements try to flesh out the experience out of a narrative or like out of a, let's say, more mythical way. The challenge is definitely just the transversal of the game. So maybe we didn't explain it super well, but it is definitely a main factor and difficult to do. So it is challenging. Maybe I answered the question, I don't know.
I think yes, because Alice wrote all the things that are explained now should be in the presentation.
Okay. Thank you for the feedback.
So
Stefan from Limbic, a producer. Again, a question about the vertical slice and the scope. Sorry, I am a bit obsessed by this. You have a pretty nice ambition with this full loop and more, which is pretty cool. But for me, at this moment, it says all and nothing. So my question, in short, and I'm not asking for details, no, is have you already a pretty good picture of what you want to achieve, the list of features you want to nail down, and kind of prioritization? Because it implies lots of things, the way you have described, and within the given time, I think it's a bit challenging. So you have already a picture, and if not, you should start to have one.
We agree that it's challenging. We have a lot of features to introduce, and the vertical slice is quite like an onboarding session. We wanted to make it as simple as possible, so the most obvious part was the movement. We have to figure out the movement, and this led to exploration and gathering resources. And once we have resources, we can build. Once we have building, things are settling a little, so we had difficulty by having these infected pilgrims that come at us. This is the first challenging event. And then the player will be looking for a way to defend themselves against the infected pilgrims, so we introduce the prayers and the rituals which allow to heal the infected pilgrims so they are not dangerous anymore. So we have a rhythm and comprehension challenge here. Yes, and we are working on it actively.
Yeah, it's just that you are making the choice to go for kind of a RTS slow pace. That's the philosophy, with the wish to be super accessible, which is, I think that's the biggest challenge for me related to this combination. And it implies naturally for me that you will have to pick your fight, otherwise you will create the reverse, in my opinion, like over complexity. But yeah, but it's, yeah, I'm eager to see this.
Thank you.
Thank you. Stefan.
I have, you had a very nice presentation first. I have a comment which is for you, but for every group. In the last presentation in February, you are not presenting a vertical slice, you are presenting a game. And the vertical slice is the cherry on the cake, but the cake is the game. So this is a general remark. And another is just a comment. I did not know Wandering Village, but I know Philomena Schwab's, which is presenting the Wandering Village on the web, which is a part of the studio. And Odile knows her much better than me. She presented me to. So if you want to get in contact with the people of Wandering Village, no problem.
Thank you. We're interested.
Other question here in the room? So again, I'm sorry for the people online. We won't be able to hear you, so either you write down your question and I can read them, or we can make you in link with the students so you can react with them directly. Other question? Wait. We need the mic for the people online. Sorry for that.
Cheers. No. Yeah, guys, why did you choose to design the beast like it is? Because it's kind of scary, and this beast is supposed to help us survive. We are totally dependent of it, and so what makes you choose this type of design? Because to me, this looks like a boss in Final Fantasy or something like this. Yeah, for real.
Yeah, actually, it's when we do the artistic direction, we were wondering, our intention was to create a character design where we are always wondering it is alive or not, it is an animal, it is like mineral, etc. And we are like searching this result, which is quite, I don't know how to say, inquiétante étrangeté in English, but
uncanny valley.
This one. And so we are with this kind of alien bones result, and then we work with the tribe in order to give the same texture, material, etc. between the fur, the tentacles, the bones, to give this symbiosis and this new and original visual for the player. And when he saw the game, he's like, okay, it's Tribe of Dawn and nothing else.
Thank you. Another question?
Yep. You're making a strategy game, so it's got to be a top-down view. From what I saw of your, let's say, unit design, they look really similar. I mean, they just changed color for those pilgrims. I like the fact that you probably thought of like the shape and the silhouette of the units, a view from top down. But since you don't have a lot of units, it will be cool to really differentiate them. Like the priest doesn't have any spiritual outfits and the gatherer doesn't have any bags to gather stuff. Like, you know, it's basic stuff a little bit, but it will be very interesting. And another point is you have a shitload of animation to do. So try to think to factorize your work as much as possible.
Yeah, so for the animations, actually we are 3 graphic designers on this project, and Alice, who designed the creature, is dedicated to animations. So the rest is up to the rest of us. But she has a lot of work to do, and yeah, we support her for that. As for the design, the pilgrims that you see here, actually they are only, at first, you only have the gatherers. So they're the orange ones. And so their aim is to gather resources, but they turn into priests. Like it's a special mode in this character. So it becomes a priest when he encounters infected other characters from other creatures. So yeah, it's we can think about adding some element to the design that will look more obvious as for their role, but yeah, we have, as you said, we have a lot of work to do. So I mean, since it's the same character that just turns into priests, we for that, with the color, the color swap is a good option for that. But we can think deeper about this.
And for the user experience part, if it is too much for the graph, so we can also give different feedbacks to differentiate both of them. Could be icons, names, stuff like that. So we can make it easier for the graphics if we really need to separate both of them.
And talking about user research, we have a question from Alizé.
Okay.
What are the main findings you learned based on the data collection you did?
Could you repeat, please? Sorry.
What are the main findings you got through the data collection you made?
Oh, okay. First, I was doing a community synthesis. So basically, I was we with Clara we took game references and tried to collect as much as possible commentaries about those games, and then we made a survey to have more detailed information, and it was pretty interesting because we gathered a lot of commentaries about our game references. How do they feel mysticism, symbiosis, stuff like that, and I guess that what was really interesting is taking the commentaries from the people from the survey. How do they feel this way, and how can we reproduce them in our game? And also we had a lot of. It was also interesting to see what target is most suitable for our game. So that was basically what was really interesting with this survey.
Thank you for this feedback. Another question? Yeah.
It's just a quick comment about the differentiation between two different characters. If you just base the difference on the color, there will be a lot of people with visual impairment. Sorry to repeat this again, but it's a fact about accessibility. Don't just rely on the color of the character. Try to give them something else. Just, I don't know, maybe another icon, another element in the back, if they have a bag or they have a cloak, maybe, whatever you want. But if you just rely on the color, and again, if the camera is going to be top down or very far away, it's going to be maybe difficult. So just that, just the point. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Okay, I don't see other questions.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Can I answer?
Oh, sure. Sure, sorry. Sorry.
Yeah, I didn't add this element, but we haven't talked in this presentation, and it's still in development in our game, the question of the VFX, and it will help a lot for the feedbacks, and especially for the priest. We really wanted to have like a halo, and like maybe I can give the example in Warcraft 3. There are the heroes who have a special SFX in the ground, so it's easily readable, and it helps comprehend the importance of them too. And I really want to add this on this feature to this character also.
Thank you, and sorry again. So if that's okay for all of you, then let's congrats them again. Congratulations to all the teams of this morning. Thank you for your questions and remarks. Keep some for lunchtime and for the end of the day. The students and the teams will be available on the plateau Projets. So it's the end for this morning, and we will see us again at 2:30 this afternoon here for the 3 remaining projects. Thanks again. Talk to you later. And we're gonna fix the sound problem during lunchtime. So hopefully, yeah, it's written on the program. Hopefully, everything will be fixed for this afternoon session.